Today we're going to talk about personal financial literacy, and in the first slide we're going to talk about interest. Interest is the cost of borrowing money expressed as a rate or percentage. Okay, so there's some advantages and disadvantages, and so one of the advantages is that when you have interest earned on savings accounts, so those are ways that you can gain money. And the disadvantages is if you have interest when you owe something, or like a loan, or like a mortgage, like on a house, a loan on a car, stuff like that, because you're losing money in that case. Okay, there are two different types of interest. There's simple interest, which is I equals PRT. They are all next to each other, so they are multiplying. I is going to be the simple interest. Okay, P is going to be the principal. And that's usually the money, right? The money. Rate is going to be the annual interest rate. And this is as a decimal, so I want to make sure you guys know as a decimal. It's usually as a percentage, but we have to change it to a decimal. And then time is going to be T. And of course, it's in years. This one will be in years. Okay. Then we also have compound interest, which A will be the future value, or the total amount at the end. Okay. P is still principal. R is still the annual rate. And remember, that is as a decimal. And then T is going to be time in years. Right. Here we have, below we have little notes that says, be sure to change the rate to a decimal and cover any numbers of months to years. So let's say it gives you 16 months. To get that into years, we just divide it by 12, and then you would have 1.3 as your T. Right. The next one says, read carefully what the question asks, because sometimes it's simple, sometimes it's compound. If it doesn't say what it is, assume that's going to be simple. And then the simple interest formula will only give you the interest. Okay. So let's put, it will only give you the interest, while the compound interest gives you the formula for the future value. So it's the interest plus how much you are actually spending, or the total amount, right? Value. Okay. So let's look at the cost of college, and this is going to be one of the ways that you can use interest. Or, like, it doesn't have to be the cost of college. It can be like the cost of owning a house, getting a car, a first car. So let's look at the tuition. Tuition is going to be the price of college charges for the classes. Okay. Then we have room and board. Room and board is going to be the cost of living. So do you have a dorm room? Do you have an apartment? What kind of room and board do you have, right? But the books, the cost of purchasing textbooks and course material. So maybe you have a lab and you have to buy like a coat and your own goggles, stuff like that. And then transportation is the cost associated to the driving or commuting to classes. And commuting means that you are living at home, maybe with your parents, or somewhere out of town from the original town that your university is at. And you're commuting to classes every single time. You don't live on campus. Okay, ways to help pay for college. So we have grants. There's grants. That money is given to students from the government. whether it's the federal government or the state government. And the colleges that does not have, you don't have to repay that those grants. And these are by need basis. So that means if your parents don't make that much money for the amount of people that live in your house, then you might get a grant and you don't have to pay that money back. Okay. You have scholarships, which you apply for. It's money given to students from the government, colleges, organizations, and they do not have to be repaid. Those are achievement based. So in the scholarship application, they'll ask, what have you done in the past 4 years in high school and 3 years in middle school for us to give you the money? Did you make all A's and B's? Did you do volunteer hours? That kind of achievement that they're looking for. That's what they're looking for. And then the last one is loans. That's money that must be paid back with interest. And so that's where the interest comes in, right? All the other grants and scholarships, they do not have interest because you do not have to pay those back. Loans, however, you do have to pay those back. And because you're borrowing money, you're going to have interest owed on that loan. Okay. Let's look at credit and loans. So credit and loans are a form of borrowing money or delaying a payment for a good service. So like a loan on a car or something. The interest is the charge or fee for borrowing money, and we already know that. Or it can, it can also be if you're investing money, that's the money that you're gaining. And repayment is going to be the total amount paid for the purchases, including interest. Okay. So overall, you have monthly payments times the length of the loan will be the total repayment. Because just because you borrow money doesn't mean that that's the money that you're going to owe. You also have, the interest on it. Okay. So here on the side we have subtract the original cost of the purchase from the total repayment to find the amount paid in interest, and that only happens if we have compound interest. To find, if you are finding compound interest and you want to find the interest, you just subtract the original cost from the repayment.